Hey, and welcome back to the Transparent Talk podcast. I am your host and coach, Zach. Today, I sat down with Jonathan Pritchard and we had a really good conversation. But before I send you there, I want to just give you a bit more context on Jonathan because I don't feel like I gave his background justice before we started the recording. So, Jonathan has spent more than 20 years as a professional mentalist and has performed more than 15,000 live shows, including America's Got Talent. Over time, that shifted into not just performing, he started to take what he learned about people, attention, communication, decision making, and he's applied it to business, sales, leadership, consulting, and he's worked with companies like BP, State Farm, United Airlines. So he's done a lot of really cool work. And what I enjoyed about the conversation is that we just didn't stay in one place. We went around and we talked about how people make decisions. We talked about the difference between influence and manipulation. We talked about the struggle between communicating our value and how to decide what opportunities are worth saying yes to. So, if you're someone who tends to overthink decisions, you say yes too much, or you struggle to communicate what's on the table, and you want to understand how people think, why they make the choices they do, I think you're going to enjoy this one. You definitely don't need to be a business owner to apply a lot of this. So, let's get into the conversation with Jonathan Pritchard, and thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to the Transparent Talk podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Jonathan. Thank you for being here, man.
Pleasure to be here, man. You got it.
So you have a very, very interesting background. So I want to start off with how does someone even become a mentalist, and when did you know that was even something you wanted to pursue?
Let's see. How to become a mentalist. Lock yourself in a room for about 15 years. Don't have friends. Read weird books. Practice alone for years on end, and eventually you emerge from your self-imposed cocoon as a wizard of sorts. Because yeah, a mentalist is kind of a magician that has specialized in mind reading tricks. So magicians are usually doing tricks with objects like, oh, this ring, and oh, look, they're linked together. Isn't that impossible? Amazing. And it is. But then a mentalist is doing tricks with information, stuff you know, things that you remember, messing with your memory. So it's kind of like hypnosis. It uses elements of hypnosis, but in a different kind of direction. So
When did
I got
when did the
I got
spark of
interested.
interest? Yeah, when did
Well,
it come?
when I was about 5 or 6, my dad bought a magic kit and I never put it down, which amazed him. He was like, "Man, I fully expected you to throw that thing away or find it in the trash one day, and it's been a year later and you're still playing with this stupid thing. Okay, I guess you like magic tricks." So all through my childhood, that was the easiest way for me to relate to people because if I do the thing that the magic book said to do, I amaze people. Okay, I know that world, I know that recipe, I can bake that version of amazement. Cool. Without a script, without a prescription of what do you do? I don't know. So I'm super introverted. Like I could
Really?
not talk to people for weeks and months and be perfectly fine. But it's really hard to make a living that way. And I always like to say I saw that the people who spoke up for themselves were the ones that wound up getting what they asked for. So I was
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get over this whole introverted and shy thing. I'm
So
still
so how
introverted.
how did you get over that? Because you've been on some major stages. So
Yeah.
I want to ask, like, what was there things you studied? Was it just a process of just like a switch in the mindset and identity? Like, what was that to kind of switch from the introverted tendencies to forcing you in those, extrovert environments that
Mhm.
you've been in?
So there's a scalpel that I want to use to make sense out of this because if we don't, it can still confuse people. Because introverted extroverted is what lights you up, what recharges your batteries. I hate being around people. All right. Like, I want to love people, but being around a lot of them, you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. So there's what's exhausting is being around lots of people. An extrovert is around lots of people and just gets super jazzed and like, yeah, this is fantastic. All right. So it's a question about what gets you tired versus lights you up. All right. So then there's outgoing. and shy, which are behaviors not connected to your preference of how you'd rather do things. So
Mhm.
I've learned to be outgoing, even though my preference is to be shy. But it is still exhausting. I just accept that bargain and go, I know what I'd prefer, but you know what? This is how I make my living. So
Mhm.
I went from like 6 years old to 13, never doing a show of any kind. Like I just always was interested in tricks and hey dad, pick a card, pick another card. He's like, I've seen this one. I'm like, no, this one's totally different, I promise. He's like, do I pick a card and you find it? I'm like, how did you know? And he's like, that's like all the 30 others you've shown me, right?
Mhm.
But when I was 13, I met a guy at a summer camp who was a retired clown who had busked for decades, which is you just go out on the sidewalk where there's lots of people, do something interesting, draw a crowd, entertain them, and then pass the hat for party money. Like, that looks cool. So he taught me how to perform. So I had a bag of tricks, but I wasn't comfortable in front of an audience yet. So he just taught me his show. He was like, here's 12 minutes, go. So I just learned to do his show. So I was using his script. So it
Mhm.
wasn't me on the line. I knew this thing called a script and this show would get applause and money. Cool, let's just go do that. So there wasn't any self worth wrapped up in it. It was more of a, I know this recipe works to bake what it is I want. Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Here's the
And
equation, input, output.
exactly. Exactly. It's super simple. So I would do it and I would get amped up because the show's fun to do. And then I got paid $200 to do a magic show for a company's summer picnic when I was 13. So I used his show as the skeleton, and then I would add in magic routines, and then I had a show. So that was the day where I became supremely unemployable, right? Like, good,
Yeah.
I'm the world's worst employee. You do not want to hire me, right? For a
Mhm.
salary because I'm I'm not going to toe the line. I'm not going to do things just because this is the way we've always done it. I'm not going to do what you tell me just because you tell me. You don't own me. Like, you didn't buy me, right? You've got my time, right? So that's the worst way for me to spend my time. I'll go make money juggling fire on the sidewalk. Like, you can't touch that. So good
Yeah.
luck. So yeah, that was the start of it, and then it just got to be bigger and bigger stages.
So let me ask, when you were initially getting on the stage for the first time and as you matured, because obviously the first time it feels very scripted, kind of like how you mentioned. As you've gotten better at it over your teen years and everything, was there any techniques or ways of psyching yourself up to get more into a state of mind that the performance would be better? Or did you find, like, what was the gap between, the introverted tendencies to actually performing? Because there's a difference between, being shy and the type of energy you need to be a good performer, right? So
Yeah.
you've achieved both, right? So, like, what does that look like for you? Is there like a process you do or a technique before?
Yeah, sharp question. Another side of what I did was I took competitive debate in high school and college. So I
Oh, no
forced
kidding.
myself into a situation where I can't use a script, and I think almost entirely in pictures. So I had to translate the visual in my head into words that I could speak in a way that other people would understand what in the world I'm trying to communicate. So that was a pressure cooker for that skill set. So I did that. But weirdly, the thing to psych yourself up for the show is all the work beforehand, which is learning your script. If you don't have a script, a lot of your computational process is going to be devoted to figuring out what the hell do I say next? And now you're
Mhm.
focused on what the hell do I say next? Instead of how do I connect with this audience right here? So the audience can tell what you're thinking as the performer. If you're lost for a line or you're just wondering, they're going, well, he's probably not good at what he does. And then you get psyched out and then you're spiraling out in your head of, oh my God, I'm crashing in real time, which I've done. I've been booed by 3,000 people. All right. It's not fun, but it makes you bulletproof, right? Like you just go, oh yeah, I still got paid. Okay, that's good. But
Yeah.
you actually weirdly can't I well, I mean, you can do anything, but I prefer not to meet the audience at high energy because it can be off-putting. And that was a lesson I learned working at a magic shop in Universal Studios. So you would do the show, 12-minute demonstration. You could buy everything in the package, save 20 bucks, that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
you could do a demonstration and everybody loves it and they're all clapping and high-fiving you and you sell out and it's amazing. And then you've got that energy coming into the next crowd and you're like, hey everybody, how's it going? And they're like, whoa, who's this guy? And it's off-putting. And then you've got the worst show of the day right after the best one because you didn't reset to zero. So really, it's getting out of your own head and not being so wrapped up in yourself that you're preoccupied with how you feel because it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. Your job is to go connect with that audience and communicate the message you're here to communicate with. So the more you focus on yourself and how freaked out you are, you're doing a disservice to your audience. So the cure is to pull your head out of your ass and focus on connecting your message with your audience and being of service to them. So the more
I
you
love that.
focus on why they're there, why did they even show up in this room in the first place, and how can I help them get that? Suddenly you're not so worried about, am I doing okay? Am I stuttering too much? Oh, I don't know. Just stop.
Mhm.
Love your audience, prioritize them. And it's that old Zig Ziglar quote, like you'll get everything you've ever wanted in life if you help other people get what they want. And that doesn't, and I always like to say it doesn't mean that you've got to go move boxes for pizza and beer. It's not that. It's that your skills can solve valuable problems that people will pay for. So the more you focus on their problem that you can solve, the more you get paid and the more you can do with that money.
I want to do a tiny question here just for the introverts that are listening, because I know there's a
Yep.
lot of them. And I think with the social media age, there's more and more, it feels like. So I
Yep.
want to ask, do you have any advice tailored in that response just for someone that's like wanting to get out there more, but it's like very, very in their shell and very, very scared and anxious to even get out there in the world? Is there anything that you would say like that you would use to help them get out of their head, like you mentioned?
Yep. Which is nobody cares. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. All right. You don't like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And you think it does. You've built up this whole mythos of oh, here's what people no, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So the weirdly, like, okay, you could try to fix yourself and see it as a problem and oh, I've got to overcome this obstacle and I have to change who I am. You don't. I prefer this. I'm going to do this other thing that I know works. Simple. Or you could double down on it and yes, and your introverted nature. You know what? On the internet, this is the only person in the room. It's me and this camera, and that's it. Nobody else is around. So if you really wanted to, you could lock yourself in a studio and see nobody else and still get your message out. Sure. Well, 50,000 people saw the video, but you're not in front of 50,000 people. You're connecting with 50,000 people. Right.
Mhm.
So again, if you can actually help people, you're doing them a disservice by prioritizing your discomfort over helping them.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. What I always say, Tony Robbins always talks about giving and how empowering it is to give. And sometimes it's not about giving a service. Like if you're a business owner, which we're going to get into business in a second, but if you're a business owner, obviously you give services and products and all that sort of stuff and value. And but I believe that everybody has value to give, whether that's just talking to someone that, hey, how's your week going? How's work going? All those things matter. And sometimes I think when we get too much in our heads, we forget that space. And what ends up happening is all of a sudden you haven't seen someone in months and they've been in a tough spot and you could have reached out. And that's what that I've had moments like that that's really shifted my perspective into kind of what you're describing. So
Yeah.
I want to switch gears, and I'm curious what you would say to this. Do you find that there is a difference between influence and manipulation? I know that we're going to shift into business talk and sales and all that great stuff, but I know that those words are thrown around a lot. Like if you talk about salespeople, there's that slimy, oh, they're manipulators, they're trying to get my money, that type of idea. And then there's also a shift with the term influence, right? So I'm curious, do you have an opinion on those terms or even just like that whole arena as a whole?
That's a great place to start. And not only do I have an opinion, I have an entire framework to help
Wow,
people
let's.
understand what's what. All right. So the kind of horizontal axis is who's benefiting. And if I'm benefiting at your expense, that's one side. If we're both benefiting, that's the other side. That's the win-win kind of scenario. And there are even win-win-win scenarios and yeah.
Mhm,
But it's like if I'm better off because you're worse off, that's that side. If we're both better off, that's the other side. Okay.
mhm,
So then what are you trying to change? Their behavior or their belief? That's the vertical axis.
mm,
Okay.
mhm,
So those two are way more intertwined than a neat, tidy framework makes it look. Because if you believe the way that you behave and then you behave in alignment with your beliefs, and so they affect each other. But just to make it tidy, let's say they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay. So if I'm trying to change your behavior to my benefit, that's coercion. I don't care how
mhm,
you feel. I don't care about our relationship. Give me your wallet or I'll kill you.
mhm,
And I use a gun to enforce that. Okay. I'm now better off because I have your wallet full of money. You're worse off because I coerced you into that behavior.
mhm,
Okay. Now, if I'm trying to change your beliefs, what am I going to do? Most likely, I'm going to manage the narrative to withhold information you would need to make a fully informed decision that would mean you decide not to work with me. That is manipulation, right? So if you're
mhm,
purposefully withholding information that would change their mind and you're trying to get their money, that's manipulation. Okay. So then, on the other end of the spectrum, if we're all better off, I'm telling you everything you need to know to make a fully informed decision for me to be able to help you. Okay. Well, then that's persuasion, right? Where
mhm,
I'm trying to change your beliefs. If I'm just trying to change your behavior, you don't have to really believe, you don't have to be convinced that this is the best pizza restaurant in the whole world. You just need to go there because I know this is the best place for us to hang out and chat
mhm,
because the music's not too loud. We need to catch up. It's been a long time, right? So
mhm,
I just need to convince you to go. I don't need you to believe that this is the best restaurant, right? So
mhm. I hear
influence
you.
is behavior, persuasion is belief, and at your benefit and mine is on the good side of things. But manipulation and coercion is I'm better off at your expense.
Mm. Thank you for that. So, what I
Welcome.
want to transition to is you went into the business space. You now do a ton of different stuff serving that avatar, sales,
Yep.
all this different things. I want to hear about it, but I also want the how did you even shift there, right? So mentalist, you're performing a lot, and then all of a sudden, was there an interest already inside you, a seed, and then you were like, you know what, now's the time, and what did that look like?
I would love to say I was the mastermind behind it. I recognized and developed this whole no. It was that I wanted bigger shows I wanted clients that paid me more. And you know that
Mm-hmm.
what pays more than a birthday party? A company summer picnic. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. So, how do I do shows for bigger and bigger companies? Okay, they've got a awards banquet, an end of year gala, and they're looking for some after dinner entertainment. Okay, cool. So, I'm doing the show for these large companies, and it was the sales directors that saw the value before I did because the tricks are cool. And then they were like, wait a minute, I've never seen Bob laugh that much. And he's been with the company 12 years. And you you were so amazing that you got him to do that. Do you know how to teach people how to do that? And I was like, sure, why not? So mentalism is applied psychology, showmanship, and moxie. That's all it is. It's communication skills more than anything else. Just really good communication skills. I'm just communicating the wrong thing to you, right? Like that's it. So the sales director would bring me in to teach the sales team how to relate more effectively to people, make their prospects feel understood, so that they could actually understand the problem to see, does our solution actually fit in this situation? Yes. Okay. Well, it's clear to me, but it's not clear to the prospect that this is the perfect solution, even though I said this is the right solution.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you present a convincing truth, right? Like magicians know how to present a perfect convincing lie because they understand the truth and what reality should look like better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So, most people don't know what reality looks like, so they couldn't present a perfect illusion. But if you understand how to present a perfect illusion, you know how to present a perfectly compelling, convincing truth.
So right there, I want to ask, what's the gap then? So like, let's just say you come into an organization, you get called, they say, hey, we have a sales team, or hey, we have this these individuals that we need to optimize. They're not performing as well as they can, or they're performing okay, but we want to see, what the peak of their performance could look like. What do you commonly see is the gap between what you just described and whether that's like understanding the prospect, if that's the bigger side, or if it's the communication end of it.
It's you can't communicate with somebody you don't understand.
Mm,
So if I don't understand your language, man, it's real tough for us to connect. So companies are good at talking about themselves, their solution, their approach, their system, their everything, and have no clue how the prospect is hearing it.
yep.
So you need to be able to crawl inside the mind of your prospect to understand how they understand their situation, their problem, the solution they think they need, which may or may not be the thing they actually need. And it
Hmm.
may or may not be the thing you actually deliver,
Yeah. And
right?
what's the gap
So
of education between those two things? And then
showing them how little
understanding
they
that.
understand about their clients.
Hmm.
I mean, really. So the extra part of it is okay, there's a way to read the mind of your prospect. Ask them what they're thinking. It sounds so stupid simple, but if you haven't demonstrated that you've understood what they've told you already, why are they going to reveal all their secrets to you?
Hmm.
So you have to prove that you understand what they're thinking in order to be trusted with the truth. So, Bob, tell me, what's your budget? Screw you, that's my budget. You tell me what it's going to cost. I'm not, right? So if you
Hmm.
don't have that foundation of trust, then you're not going to get the truth in order to make a fully informed decision about whether or not this person should even be a client in the first place. So it's the ability to ask questions and be trusted with the answer so that you could help them understand and explain it in ways that they'll understand, not the ways that your company has told you to say things.
Yeah. So I totally agree. And from what I've seen, being placed in organizations similar to yourself, that is probably the most common thing that I notice as a mistake as well. So with the gap in education, so mentalism was a passion, right? Like that came in at a young age. The business world
Yeah,
came
and
in
it
out
was
of
an
a bit.
identity too. Like this is who I am, and holding on to that identity of I'm a performer, I'm a mentalist, meant I hung on to I'm this, which meant I didn't pursue the business side all that thoroughly because I wasn't thinking what's the biggest problem I can fix, what's the most valuable solution I can provide to
Mhm,
the people who need it the most. I would have shifted and recognized the opportunity of I could be a corporate trainer, I could be a corporate assistant, I could be an executive consultant
mhm.
because for years I held on to the I'm a performer identity. So it wasn't just a passion, it was my profession. It was what took me around the world and made money. But man, I could have helped a lot more people in a lot more valuable ways if I'd let go of that I am this and only that way of seeing the
Do you
world.
do you find like how do you go about letting go of that? If you have any advice on that at all, I know it's a very, very common thing with entrepreneurs
Oh yeah,
is the surrendering of sorts, but it's like it's very vaguely defined. Do you have a definition of that, or maybe some examples of times? And I want to be
for
mindful of
sure.
your time as well, so I want to just kind of also just let you know
Yeah,
that
all good.
yeah.
I got a whole nother hour before I got to be anywhere. But the
Sweet.
the big difference is an identity is regardless of context, which is no matter where I am, no matter what situation I'm in, I approach life this way. This is the way I'm wired. This seems to show up no matter where I am or who I'm with. This is kind of who I am at the core. And if you can see it, maybe it's real, maybe it's part of your personality, whatever, but it's that part of you that always seems eternal on the inside that's just always been there. Then your role is the particular context where that is expressed. So most people conflate their role with their identity because their role is the place in the context where they get to express who they are.
Mhm.
And then they like the role that allows them to express the most of who they are. So then they think, I am that role instead of I am playing this role in this context at this time. And then that's when you get the lock in of, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't work for anybody else. Oh, I'm a performer. I can't go get a job that would fund better promo to get booked more often.
Mhm.
So you stay broke for 15 years because I'm a full time performer. That's it. I won't allow myself the role of employee. I won't allow myself the role of anything else because I've confused my role as my identity of who I am. And if I let go of that role, then who am I? It's you're just conflating how you show up and where you show up as being the same thing.
So thank you for that, by the way. I want to peel into the actual role that you have done and that you do actively now in companies and sort of what that looks like in terms of value for them and also what you've learned along the way because from what I see from this conversation what I'm gathering I see this a lot mirrored through entrepreneurs is this aspect of do it and then you are it, right? And sometimes you have to become that inside your mindset before, but sometimes it's not like that. Like for instance, in your case, it's like I'm a mentalist, I'm performing now, I'm doing business consulting, I'm doing business events, I'm training sales team, I'm doing all these different things now. And sometimes it's like you don't even know that that's the path, but it's already kind of drawn out for you. So, what do you explain to me the process of engagement now with your practice and your business, and what has been the challenges in the early stages and how you've overcome that?
Mm. The biggest challenge is balancing how much to talk about the mind reading stuff
Mm,
as a challenge to the CEO writing a check for it.
mm,
Some birthday party clown. Why the hell do we need that? There's no way you're going to give them that much money with a comma in it. Hell no. Versus, I'm a business consultant. That guy can get paid stupid amounts of money.
Mm.
doing the same stupid thing, but right. So how you package it is the biggest challenge, where to walk that line. But for me, are you familiar with the MC Escher, the graphics guy, like made crazy mind bending illustrations
No, no.
before the age of computers and stuff?
Educate me.
Okay, like he's fantastic. Lots of mathematical stuff in his etchings, which is an insanely difficult thing to do. Like if you've never done printmaking, try intaglio printmaking. We could go down that rabbit hole. But basically, he would make these repeating patterns that would change shapes and transform from one thing at the bottom to the top, and it's a smooth transition. You're like, oh my god, that's incredible, right? So the mathematics of how that works
Mhm.
is fantastic. He would also do kind of optical illusions, and there was one where it's an infinite staircase. It's kind of a top of a castle, and the
I might have seen
soldiers are
that.
all
Yeah.
walking uphill, but it's a closed loop, right? So it can't exist in reality, but they're all walking uphill infinitely in a loop. And this was in Inception, right? Where they're explaining this is how we get inside their dreams, and we've got this fake architecture, and they're walking up the stairs, and then it reveals that it's all wonky, right? Like that's his illusion put into that movie. That's how I see my ecosystem of what it is that I do. One thing that I do leads to the other, which leads to this, which leads to that, which puts me right back in that spot. So no matter where somebody comes into the ecosystem, it's naturally going to lead to all the other ways that better communication skills could help them out. So the path it usually takes is I do a speech or a keynote or doing the mind reading show at some big corporate function. And then the sales engineer, the sales director is like, oh my God, you need to come teach my guys how to do that. So then I go install my sales system there. And then they get stupid good at that. And then their sales go up, their sales cycles go faster, all those metrics of, oh, this is going great happens. But then in the process of doing that, talking to the sales director, he's going, but marketing has given us hot garbage. People are showing up to these calls completely not understanding what makes us different or what makes
Un-
us better. And we're getting price shopped
Underqualified.
all to heck. Right,
Yeah.
right. But marketing is going, we're hitting our MQLs. We're hitting our numbers. So you go talk to them and they're going, okay, so you're talking about your service, you're talking about this and lingo that you understand, but does your prospect actually talk this way? Is this how your clients talk about what you do? So
Hmm.
then I go actually talk with a handful of their best clients that they want more of, identify what all of them have said. So it's not a customer satisfaction survey. It's a crawling inside the mind of your client to see how they see you thing. And that's completely different. Like, good luck
Totally.
finding somebody that can do that. Oh, maybe
Hmm.
it's somebody that's been doing that 15,000 times over the years. Oh, that's me. So, crawl inside the heads of their best customers and clients to understand how they see the company and
Hmm.
then go put that into the marketing.
That's
So now the
such a beautiful
marketing
technique. Oh my God. Keep going.
is
Yes.
sharing the inner thoughts of their best clients so
Hmm.
that their potential new best clients are recognizing themselves and resonating with it, being like, holy crap, these guys get me. They get the situation I'm in. I see myself in a way that I've never experienced before, which is the only thing that makes mentalism interesting, is that I tell you about you. I could talk about my childhood all you want, but if I tell you about your childhood, you're like, holy crap, that's amazing, right?
Hmm.
So the more that you can put them in your marketing, the easier time they're going to have seeing that you help people like them. Not, this is my system, this is my features, this is my everything. Nope. Them. The more them you put in, the easier time they'll have going, they help people like me. So then their marketing goes up. Holy crap, we've never we like literally I help companies get 10 times more qualified business from trade shows using my street performing experience and script writing to resonate with their ideal customers. Like 10 times more qualified business sounds impossible until you see how it works. Boy, that sounds a lot like magic tricks, right?
Mhm.
So all the marketing gets better and they're going, oh my gosh, this is great. And then consequently, the sales get easier because the salespeople aren't having to pick up the slack on explaining everything so well. But then the marketing's like, well, we were just doing what the boards told us to do. Okay. So now I go talk with the CEO and help him or her think about what it is the company actually does for their clients. You think you're selling this, all of your clients say they appreciate that about what it is that you do. So, same actions you're taking, but it means something completely different to your clients than what you're saying. So now
There,
let's rethink who we are as a company and how we're approaching the marketing. So now that's into branding and positioning and CEO head doctor stuff. So yeah, it's all the same thing. Understanding how you're coming across to your intended audience.
through my experience in the sales world and my experience with entrepreneurs is I love to reference this book if you haven't read it. I'm sure you've heard of it before, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. There's
Yep.
this lovely quote in there and I'm just going to butcher it. If I can tell you your feeling of importance, I can tell you who you are. And it sounds like identifying not only the language in which these customers that are ideal customers are using and using that to market and do sales to them, but also understanding too, probably behind the layers, behind the curtain, so to speak, into what actually matters to them and in their language, and then conveying that in a way of influence.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was doing a brain picking session for a client with one of their clients who told me straight up, he's like, yeah, we got a new boss that came in, told us to fire all the service providers. And I directly ignored it because I will never fire like the company I was working with. Right. Like, I'm never going to let them go. I was like, really? Tell me more about that. And then
Yeah.
she explained how valuable the company was because of this, that, the other thing, and this thing too, and this thing the other did save my bacon. I would have never been able to, right?
Mhm.
So that was a gold mine for, hey, company, here's what you're actually doing with your clients, not just doing your job, right? So yeah, it's understanding the importance of how a customer and a client appreciates what it is that you do in the way that it's helping them rather than most companies focus on the literal here's what we do, which is kind of like saying, oh, I pick up a pen, I make some gestures, and then we're done. Like, well, yeah, you just signed my paycheck, right? That means a lot different to me than I put ink on a page, right? So it's the meaning behind stuff that's important, not here's what I did about it, which is what
I want
technical
to
founders get into all the time too. No.
I want to hear your opinion on this. So, for me, I've always found that if you go into the literacy and you watch the videos of like people talking about sales and entrepreneurship, they're always talking about the word value. And, obviously like giving clients the value, phrasing the value in a way that gets them excited and wants to purchase. I've always thought about that as like one front of the coin, and the back side of the coin being kind of what you're talking about a little bit here is like that perceived value. I wonder if you have anything there. So for me, I see it like front end is like value, so that they get something, whether it's like you coming in and doing a performance and then doing some training, maybe taking a look and calling some clients and figuring out different things. But then there's also the perceived value side, right? I don't know. Sometimes I find that the line is so thin, and a lot of clients focus so much on the upfront value and don't understand that the perceived value is what the client's experiencing, and it might not necessarily be just the deliverables that you're providing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There is nothing else besides perceived value.
Amen.
It is the only value,
Yeah.
right? Because either you're talking literal atoms and quantifiable things. This many units of this moved to there, and this many units of that moved to there. You paid me $5, I gave you Skittles or whatever. Okay, so either it's factual, these atoms changed location, or it's a value judgment. He bought this. That's meaning, that's value. right? So you only have perceived value. That's the only thing that you've got. So the levers are value, which isn't limited to money. And that's the thing that gets people hung up, especially on the value for value is the only way to go through the world. Well, it's not that you have to pay for everything and that everything becomes a financial transaction.
Hmm.
It's that different people value different things. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's being listened to. Maybe it's being able to depend on you. Maybe it's consistency. Maybe it's price, like whatever. What value are they getting? What value are you getting? And those are going to be different things.
So
So
I want to.
the yeah,
No, go
the
ahead.
the last detail is that there are usually like those three levers, which is what does it cost you to do or deliver the thing that you're getting paid to do? What price are you asking them to pay? And then what value are they getting? So you know your cost, you know your price, your client gets to decide if it's valuable or not. And if it's not valuable enough for the price, they're going to say no. But it's
I
not related to how much it costs you to do the thing or not. Because a lot of valuable stuff is super free. I would do this anyway. This is the stuff I'm most fascinated by. It's not going
mhm.
to cost me anything because I'm already thinking about this stuff. So the cost is near zero, but the value is millions of dollars. So my price is going to be way north of $0 to me.
Yeah. So when it comes to value and how you decipher the value equation in deciding what opportunities you do, I know that you have a family. You obviously have other obligations other than just providing services to people. My question is when opportunities come to your desk, what is your process to understand what's something that's valuable enough to where you would take the opportunity, and maybe when that line is drawn in the sand of saying no, whether that's going to cost too much time for family or whether that's going to cross a line that you don't want to cross. How do you go about creating that? Because I'm sure that looked a little bit different transitioning from mentalism into the business space, because sometimes those business clients, they can, you can get caught in a rhythm and a cycle. You tell me if I'm wrong, where it starts off as one thing and then it continues on and it becomes a struggle to define the scope in which you were operating in to begin with. So how do you process that when it comes on your table?
Yeah, scope creep is. I learned that as a graphic designer. Be like, so you put it in there of 2 rounds of revision, no infinite number of revisions. Otherwise, you're going to start paying for it. So you make it cost too much for scope creep, and that's on you as the service provider to prevent that. So you call it out while it's happening. Oh yeah, we can absolutely talk about that. We could absolutely roll that into the project if you would like me to rescope the agreement.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk about that? Great. Let's expand the scope and therefore the engagement.
I love that language, by the way.
Right.
Thank
It's
you. Keep
cool.
keep
Yeah, we
going.
can absolutely do
Yeah.
that for sure. We'll drop some new terms of what it is that we're here to do. Oh, well, maybe not that. Okay, cool. Right. So you just, hey, you're running off the boundary of what it is we're here to do. Right.
Mhm.
For me, yeah, I've got 2 kids under 5 years old right now, and being on the road became too expensive
Mhm.
for me to want to keep doing it because missing their childhood, what could you pay me to be on the road 280 days out of the year now? Nope. When I was on my first marriage, yeah, you couldn't have paid me to stay home. I didn't want to be home.
Mhm.
I wanted to be on the road, man. So I would have paid you to stay away from home. All right. So it is weird how those dynamics change. Now I'm like, wait a minute, I actually love being home. So for projects, if I'm going to say yes to it, it has to have at least two, but I would love if it had all three of the triangle of pay, passion, prestige. Does it pay enough for me to invest my time and attention in this? Is this something I'm interested and passionate about being associated with? Is this something I'm going to feel good about helping bring into the world and making it more effective at what it does, right? So, do I want my name attached to this? If not, boy, that pay would have to be way more than they're willing to give me. So, good luck, right? Because what's my self worth to you? It's worth a lot more to me than you. So, you're not going to be able to hit that dollar amount for me to sell myself out. So that kind of protects it
Do
on that
do you
front.
see that as a common pitfall for some people that they just don't know when to stop, when to say no?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's the Buddhist eightfold path, right? Like right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, that kind of thing. So then you're like, yeah, sure, I'm willing to do things this way, but then not realizing the downstream consequences of deciding to make money that way. And then dealing with those consequences, it adds up. You're like, oh, this is really expensive in terms of time, control, sanity, peace of mind, health, wellness. Oh, now I got ulcers. I gained 40 pounds because of stress
Mhm.
eating, whatever. Like, okay, so was that bank account number worth the health issues you've got now? Did you make enough to pay for that? Like, that seems insane. You would have saved money not creating those issues in the first
A-
place.
And I'll tell you something that so many people, and I just think it's because it's not really taught very often, is the decision making frameworks that you can use to decipher those things before just saying yes. And I feel like as we develop, a lot of people don't get faced with difficult decisions, or they just get used to saying yes to every opportunity that comes in the door. Especially in early day entrepreneurship, it is so common to just say, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it." And then you get to a point where there are some clients I serve where they're pulling all-nighters in order to get things done, and they're losing that family time with their kids, and their kids are getting older, and they feel that, and that pain, that guilt that you feel, is you're not going to replace that, especially as they grow up and you miss those moments. So identifying that early on, that that is an issue, and I think so many people need to discover, like, what is that framework for you. If you have any insights into maybe how you decide those decisions, I know you're kind of going into it now. If there's anything for just the general populace to get from this in terms of, hey, from now on, when things go across your table, doesn't you don't need to be a business owner, but how do you decide on what to take on? And you need to start putting your line in the sand.
Yeah. I am 43 years old right now, and I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina where I live now. So I grew up with a library that has a card catalog, and that was the way you found your book if you wanted to learn something. Okay, so like that's the world I grew up in. I
Can you
didn't have
explain
a
what that looks like? A card catalog? Because
yeah,
I'm
it
lost.
it's a big ass cabinet of of cards, like index cards
Hmm.
that have titles of books. And they're all numbered, basically 1 through 1,000. The hundreds
Mm,
are books about this topic. The 200s are books about this topic, the Dewey Decimal System. Okay.
yep.
So then, so you've got 100 is this book, 101 is that book. Oh, well, you got a new book by an author that's between those two. So it's like 100.5. Okay, that goes in there, right? So that's why it's the decimal system. So you could account for, oh, we didn't have numbers for all the books in existence. So how do we do that, right? So you go, I want a book about this topic. So I'm going to go look in the 700s. Hobbies and games is 738. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go there. And then you go to the part of the library that's the 700s. And then this shelf has 738. So okay, there's the book I was looking for. That's how you'd find information. Now you got to pull that stupid book out, look through every page. Maybe it has an index if you're lucky. Then you could find the topic you're interested in, look at the pages in the index that have to do with that topic, then go turn to those pages and then find it. Okay, that's if you're lucky. That's how you found information when I was a kid, before the age of the internet.
Hmm.
Back then, through most of human history, you had to be in a place at a time to do a thing to get paid for it. With the advent of books, that became uncoupled because now you could sell the thing you know how to do to teach other people how to do that thing without you having to be there in a place or a time. But most people still get paid to spend their time doing a thing right now for this once, right?
Hmm.
So you could make money by doing something right now, or you could spend your time right now building something that you could sell beyond the trade of the here and now. So if you create something valuable or interesting enough, a book, a novel, a video, a course that empowers other people to make more money off of what you just taught them to know or do, okay, that's cool. Well, now you could sell courses. But you know what? AI has eaten that world. Courses of here's how to do XYZ. Screw it. I'm going to go ask my buddy Claude to walk me through it.
Yep.
So, okay. So now you're not going to sell so much of what you know, but now you can sell the value of being connected with other people facing the same challenges as you to help navigate that experience and to build a community of people who understand the challenges you're currently facing and going through. So,
That.
what do I decide to spend my time on? Are you asking me to be at a place and a time to do my thing the once? That's going to be expensive as hell because I can only sell my time once and the opportunity cost of being away from my kids. I still go to places because I'm interested and passionate about it, and the budget is right for me to go spend 2 days somewhere else and get paid for it. That's cool. But it's also going to be an opportunity to build an audience of people who value community. And that's what I decide to spend my time on. How
That
many times could I
intersect you
sell
spoke about,
this?
that intersect, that triangle intersect that you were mentioning earlier on. It's just like, does it meet the requirements of the cash flow? Yes. Does it have the passion aspect? It does to a certain amount. And then what was the last corner? Do you remember?
Prestige.
Prestige. Can you
Is
break
this
that one
something I
down?
want to be associated with? Right? Like a
Mm,
Fortune 500 company. Hell yeah, I want to be connected with that because it builds a lot of authority and other people
yeah.
use that as a does he know what he's talking about litmus test. So, hell yeah, I'm going to go talk at BP, State Farm.
Hmm.
I'm going to be their soft skills trainer for 3 years in a row. Yeah, cool, let's do it, right?
Hmm.
All right, cool. So, the pay weirdly isn't as much as the prestige because that prestige is paying off in orders of magnitude beyond the 1 gig.
Yep. I find that typically in the space of business, a lot of people, they tend to get caught up, not everybody, but there is a big group of people that get caught up in not understanding how to evaluate prestige,
Mm-hmm.
because and that authority aspect that you talked about, that word really triggered me. So it's understanding, the cost to authority ratio is huge. And a lot of companies, they throw those opportunities down to the wayside, like appearing on this podcast, which again, I'm very grateful for. These little things that add up and compound interest over time allow you to reach a wider range of an audience. And it doesn't matter what space you're in, a service based business, a product based business, a big corp, it doesn't matter because all of those things ring true. The little compounding interest over a scape of time is what's going to make or break your future. And understanding that you can't just rely on cold outbound, or you can't just rely on advertising, or you can't just rely on a sales team always. It's having the understanding that there is a pipeline for this, but there's also a pipeline for this almost vaguely understood topic of authority.
Yeah, yeah, and in it's also seeing it through the lens of time.
Mm,
So, what is it going to do for me now, and what is it going to do for me later?
I love that.
Because think about it like through the lens of showbiz. I get booked to do a show. Okay, cool. I go, I do the show, I get paid, I come home. Or I use that show as leverage by documenting this adventure and then sharing that on a YouTube channel that gets broadcast to the world so people see that I'm a person who does shows like this. So now you're leveraging this one gig as marketing collateral and
Mhm.
positioning and branding and sales because this person wants to know, what's your show like? Oh, here you go. Here's one I did last week. Oh, it's for BP. Holy crap. Or you just go do the show, then come back. That's it. You did it. So, how am I going to do what I do today in a way that allows me to leverage it for greater effect later? And then that becomes an infinite content well. Like, oh, I could make an article about this. I could write about
Yes.
that. I could make that into a YouTube video. Oh,
Hmm.
well, if I'm going to go through the hassle of writing it all out, why don't I just film it? So now I've got the audio and I got the video and then I got the transcript. We could just tweak that into an article. But then I could cut that up into 30 pieces on LinkedIn so that it looks like I'm more busy than I am,
Hmm.
right? So never let a good gig go to waste. Always think through the long-term
Hmm.
framework of
Maximizing.
how could I do this to the best of my abilities for the job I'm being hired to do
Hmm.
to then get more jobs I want to get hired for later.
The content space is such an interesting topic because I've been like thrusted into this world. I feel like everybody has been thrusted into this world as of like the last like I don't know 8 to 10 years, give or take.
Oh yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
probably give more, but
I mean,
so what?
Houdini
Yeah,
squared that circle in the early 1900s, right? Like
yeah.
he was a content creator. He understood distribution, managing media, visibility, like the whole 9 yards. He was influencer from day. You know who Houdini is. That's
Mhm.
a testament to his personal brand and media savvy. He was a personal media company, right? So it's just that with the internet, the gatekeepers have all but gone away, and now anybody can build a brand of global distribution on scale of Houdini because we all have the same tools. Cool, let's go.
There's a big gap in there's a big gap and pitfall that I see business owners and anybody who's just like looking to start this is when you mention like, oh, we're going to go to this event and here comes like potentially like upwards of 50 to 100 pieces of content and things that we can do from this one event, and it becomes this land of like more is always better. And I think that is true, but I also believe that especially if you're like a middle range business, let's say like maybe 200,000 or $100,000 a year, all the way upwards of maybe like 4 to 5 million, depending on what kind of organization you are. I find the biggest gap becomes this the biggest gap becomes the what can we afford to do with the resources we have, right? And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
space of, well, where do you draw that line in the sand is so vague. And in the content world, now with AI, people think I can do everything. And what I believe that does is very similar to like all the different pieces of video and content that we can consume. It makes us freeze.
Yep. Yep. What I love about AI is that it has helped show a truth that has always been true, but it is more apparent now, which is that the effort rarely matters. It is not valuable how hard this was for you. I don't care how hard this was for you. What matters is what you say yes to. What's the idea behind what it is that you're choosing to create from the time on the planet that you've got, right? So AI can execute, it can come up with ideas, but it's still you, the human, that is making the decision of what are we going to spend our energy to create. right?
Mm.
So, sure, we all have the same tools to create whatever we want. And now you're seeing your taste and discernment of what you like may not be in line with what your audience wants.
It's the intersection between the output, which we can do a lot more output, the avatar, and the tools that we have in order to spread that across. So
Yep.
yeah, there are so many people that I find they're like, let's mass shoot this across the web. But it's like their avatar mainly is on LinkedIn, maybe YouTube long form. So it's like, why are we not matching the quality and bringing the quality up? Why are we optimizing for TikTok? Or why are
Yep.
we optimizing for these other platforms? And I see so many people, Gary Vee, one of the people I look up to, it's do it on everything. And I don't know if I completely wholeheartedly agree, especially in the organizational level, that that's not the best way to go. And I
Yeah.
feel like,
If you've got
yeah,
Gary Vee's team, then sure, go be Gary Vee. But you don't, so don't.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because
100%.
there's two laws. That's it. Know thyself, know what you're about, know who you are, know why you're here to what problems you're here to solve, know thy audience. That's it. You got the whole thing covered with those two laws. Know thyself, know thy audience. And if you know that, you're golden. I mean, that was hidden in The Art of War by Sun Tzu, right? It's like, know your strengths and weaknesses, you're going to win half the battles. If you only know your enemy, you're going to win half the battles. If you know yourself and your enemy, you could ride into 1,000 battles and be just fine. Don't worry about it. But that's content marketing. That's business strategy. Branding is who am I? What am I about? Who am I here to help? And then who has that problem? How do I understand them so that they can understand me? Oh, know thyself, know thy audience. You're covered.
And at the personal level, I really want to add this in respectfully is there's this quote, I have it right on the side of my office. It's you can control effort, not results,
That's it. Yep.
right?
Yep. Which that's from the world of martial arts as well, which is if you want to defend yourself and to control the attacker, you can only do that by controlling your own choices and actions. So the only way to control somebody else is by only focusing on controlling yourself and what it is that you're doing in that dynamic. It's so weird. Like it sounds insane, but it's factually true. Like that's the only way I could like if you're trying to punch me in the face, the only way I could control you is doing what I need to do to make sure you can't punch me in the face.
And two, the emotional side of you described it earlier on talking about presenting to large audience with the tendencies of an introvert, taking yourself and going third person, dropping the emotional, surrendering a little bit, it's going to allow you to execute more cleanly. And I imagine, and I don't fight, I've done a couple you're more the expert in that arena than I am for sure, and I would say that potentially rings true in that arena.
Yeah. Yeah, like I like in the past couple of months I bought a Fitbit because I wanted to see what being on stage looks like physiologically speaking. And
Mm.
holy crap, I was in the yellow range like the whole time. Like
Describe what that means.
it's well, let me get the actual words for it.
Yeah.
So I went to my heart rate and it was north of 129 beats per minute for 90 minutes. Right? Like
Mm.
it's that was zone 2 cardio, like no, zone 3 cardio, right? Red line would be 159 beats per minute. That would be like, holy crap, you got to stop doing whatever you're doing. And performing, even though it's fun and exciting, my heart rate is near max level for 90 minutes straight. So it'd be like sitting down on a exercise bike and pedaling hard enough to keep your heart rate at 130 beats per minute for 90 minutes straight. It doesn't feel like that, but it is such a crazy physiological thing. And it's same for extroverts too. Being in a room full of the universe's number one predator and they're all looking at you,
Mm.
like out in the wilderness, prey animals have their eyes on the side of their head so they can see more. Predators have both eyes on the front so that they can have binocular vision to gauge distance and position, right? So
Yeah.
we're just in our genes wired to understand two eyes at the front, that thing's a killer. That thing kills to live. If it's got eyes on the side of its head, I could probably eat it, right? So now imagine 300 predators organized, every single last one of them is focused on you. Your dumb lizard brain is going to be like, this, something's horribly wrong here. Whatever's going on, we should not be doing this, right? Even if
Yeah.
you like, even if your logic brain is like, this is a great speaking opportunity, I'm gonna help so many people. Still, your brain stem's like, nope, 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 wrong. Let's go out. So you just the bridge between the logic brain and the lizard brain is your breath. That's it. That's really the only thing that you've got control over that connects both sides of that equation. So if you can control your breathing, some people will get too married to only this pattern works. No, it's that you have enough presence of mind to obey a pattern is what calms down the lizard brain. So I like square breathing. That's kind of a breathing technique taught to state troopers and soldiers in life or death battle. So I'm like, probably pretty proven approach.
Probably pretty solid. Yeah, and I'll add that to
So
the show notes for people that wanna
yeah,
have a little video or see that.
yep.
So, Jonathan, this has been amazing, and I would very much like to see you again if you're open to it. I
Don't
have
you threaten
the
me with a good time.
I have
I'll
rapid
take you
fire
up on it.
questions. Are
Yeah,
you
go
ready
for it.
for them?
Yep.
Okay, and I might take a little bit. It might not be as rapid fire, just because I have curiosity here.
Yeah,
What's
yeah, yeah.
one book that you think everybody should read?
A dictionary. But a good, like an actual answer.
Yes.
Um, oof. Yeah, I don't know. Like my everybody is like the top right, like the far right side of the bell curve. Those are my
Well,
people.
let's hear it.
Uh,
Yeah.
Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance has been my like go to make sense of the world book for a long time.
Mhm. Thank you for that. What is your guilty pleasure? I love asking this. So that could be either TV shows, movies, or food, or like whatever comes to mind for you that's like, this is my downtime.
My guilty pleasure. Oh, um, let's see. The one I can talk about is video games. I love Mario Kart, like so
Oh, no
much.
kidding.
I
I love
have
Mario Kart.
like 250 hours in Mario Kart because like I used to play something like Batman Arkham Asylum, and then I would go out,
Wonderful.
do a run of shows, and be gone for 3 weeks, and then I come back. I forget what my current mission is. I lost the tempo for the combos. I don't even know what the combos are anymore. And then you get to a
Mhm.
place where you're just like, nope. So I don't play games like that, but I love Mario Kart because it's hold down, go, and drift. I can
Mhm.
remember that when I come back 3 weeks later.
I love that. Thank you. And then and this might be a tough one, but if you had a leaving message for everyone, like let's say it's a short message that you could impart on not only the people that are listening, but just as many people as we could, the whole world, what would your lesson or phrase or thing that you would say?
My motto is change your mind, change your life. Because if you change what something means, you can then change what you tell yourself you're supposed to do about it. So
I
if you can
love that.
change what something means to you, you open up new options that weren't available to you before.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The last thing I'll ask is for people where they can find you. Obviously in the show notes there's going to be a dozen of different links and things, but I would just want to personally ask, where would you like people to go? What are you doing now? What are you trying to grow at this point?
Hmm. The easiest place to find me is icanreadminds.com. That's my
Love.
hub. That links out to everything. The thing I'm working on like today is layout for my next book called We sell secrets, no refunds, which is the lessons that I learned working at a magic shop at Universal Studios for 2.5 years. Did 15,000 magic demonstrations, and that's 12-minute show 15,000 times for people from all over the world at Universal Studios. So those lessons I've been unfolding for 20 years because every time I go talk to a company, I'm like, holy crap, this is exactly like that problem I was facing at the magic shop. So I just translate everything either through or into the magic shop or on stage. And then they go,
I'm
genius, how do you come up with this?
unreal. I am so excited to pick that up. Just let me know when it comes out. Do you have an
Yeah,
expectation on launching that?
soon is the thing, sooner rather than later. I actually I don't like going through publishing companies because I like having control over my decisions and I don't like waiting on other people, so I love to
Mhm,
move fast, right? So I've
mhm.
never wanted book deals ever, so I just publish on Amazon and use them the way that I want to use them. So it's in layout and it'll go live sooner rather than later. I
Mhm.
can't imagine it would be more than a month from the day we're recording this.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me know. Send me a link. I'm definitely going to be buying that and have you back on to talk about it if you're
Yeah,
interested.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love
Well,
to. Thank you very much.
God bless you. God bless you, and thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
All right. Take care. There you go.